is what you're made of. You are perfect and pure, even if you're not sure. It's what you're made of. L-O-V-E, love.
I don't know why I'm so energetic and happy today. There's so much going on in the world that I could be upset about. There's so much going on that I could be angry with. There's so much that I could, there's lots of opportunities to do that. But when I come here, I have an opportunity to make love my decision. Amen. And I walk in, yes. Amen. I walk into a room where there's a lot of other people making the same decision. Wow. Not only that, we get a moment of clairvoyance where the meditation is exactly the same song that we had picked without talking about it. And the famous Bobby McGee from 1967 shows up in the house. How many people since Janis Joplin wrote that song have been looking for this guy? It's amazing. What a life. When you turn your life over to Spirit, it just happens like that. Everything unfolds in such a divine and perfect manner. Now, the rest, I won't say the rest of the world, but the world, as you have illusioned it, the delusion of separation, is always calling you back to fear. Is always saying, no, this is what's happening. You can come and listen to me. This is what's really going on. We need to do this, and this is how we need to look at the world. It's from a lens of separation. It's from a lens of division. It's from a lens that we are different. It's from a lens that somehow my brothers and my sisters are fighting me for my peace. And it's just not true. You're fighting with yourself. God is love and only love. God is peace and only peace. God is joy and only joy, and so am I. That's what I am. There is nothing that can affect that. There's nothing that can conflict with my peace, my inner peace. I can go there at any time. Isn't it amazing, no matter what's happening in the outside world, no matter what's going on in the delusion of separation, I can always come back to reality and to my peace. It's always there. It never changes. I can always go there. That's my true sanctuary, is that realm of consciousness where there is only peace and love and joy and oneness, connection with the whole universe, and it's constantly expanding your awareness of it. And so that's our spiritual practice, to constantly expand our awareness of our oneness, of our connection with God, whatever you understand God to be, and to each other, and to our higher selves. I have a sign in my house that I read every morning before I go out the door. Someone gave it to us. It's a pretty corny sign. They probably got it at the Christmas tree shop when it was still open. And it says, "Do something great today." And I thought, great. They gave me this sign for a reason. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to read it every day. And so I think about, what can I do that's great? What is greatness? And brings me to that wonderful quote by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. All you need is a heart full of grace. And I already did that message a few weeks ago. So today is, you also need a soul generated by love. Amen. You don't need a great education. You don't need a lot of money. You don't need status. You don't need anything but grace and love. And I also think about John 14. Where our way shower, Yeshua, the Christ, in the form of this guy, Yeshua, was teaching truth. And he was performing miracles, and people were worshiping and following him. And he says, wait a minute. Stop for a second. Greater things will you do than I have done. And when I read that's in the Bible, it's John 14. They didn't edit it out because it wasn't understood at the time that he was actually talking about you. Greater things will you do. Don't worship me. Get on to the greater things. I've always wondered, what could that be? And so every morning, I ask myself again, what can I do? And every morning, I get the same answer. Be yourself. Do what is yours to do. Get out there and serve. Connect to your heart full of grace. And allow your soul to be generated by love. So we want to explore the ways that we can serve. And we can express our greatness individually. And how our own souls can be generated by love. You might say, my soul is already generated by love because love is what I am. Love is all there is. But that's true in spirit. But is it your experience? Like, is it always your experience? Are you really experiencing yourself that way? And if you are, great, keep going. Let it expand. But in those times where you're not, that's an opportunity for learning. That's an opportunity for growth. So even though it's true in spirit that our souls are already generated by love, the soul's considered the vehicle for the spirit, how it manifests in the body and the world, as an individual expression of God. That's your soul, an individual expression. So Charles Fillmore, he was really keenly delving into these questions. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, of course, are the co-founders of Unity. And he says, in its original and true sense, the soul of man is the expressed idea of man in divine mind. So that's the manifest Christ. To put it in simple terms, God as you. Divine mind, expressed in form, is your soul. That's your original soul. However, if we go back a little bit before he says this, he says, the soul of man's consciousness, or the human being's consciousness, as we are showing up here in this world, right, is all the accumulated ideas that we hold in back of your present expression. How you're expressing yourself now. All those accumulated ideas make up your consciousness, and that is your soul, or how your soul is appearing. The original soul, of course, is pure and doesn't need any purification, let's say. But our minds need purification. Our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs are getting in the way sometimes of that pure and original soul coming through. And so I find the spiritual path a lot of times is emptying myself, is releasing, is letting go, surrender. Joining, asking, listening, being, just being present. It's not about doing, it's about being. And so that gets a little, I don't know, for those of us that like to do, that really want to accomplish, that are striving, it tends to get a little challenging because you first have to listen, you have to follow, you have to surrender. And I found the more I slow down and the less I do, the more I accomplish. The quieter I become, the louder I speak. It's just an amazing thing. The slower I go, the more distance I travel. It's an amazing, it's an amazing phenomenon. So the deeper I go within, the more I can express out in the world. And so I want to get deep into my soul. I want to find out what it is. I want it to be generated by love and not by an accumulation of ideas that I have that are divisive, that are separating. I have to let go of those ideas. And whenever I see a person expressing divisive ideas, I'm going to walk the other way. I'm going to leave you to yourself and to your ideas and to your thoughts, because there's a great spiritual truth. I want to tell you this. You're always going to get the result of your own thinking. You're always going to receive what you're putting out. Amen? Amen? All right, so then we need to watch what we're putting out. And if folks are putting out divisive and racist ideas, I'm not going to come back with anger towards them, but I am going to demonstrate the opposite. Going to demonstrate love, says Kevin. Well, that's what I want my soul to be generated by. Thank you. Thank you. So in unity, at least with the Fillmores, referring to the Fillmores and their teachings, the soul and the consciousness of the individual are the same thing. And this is an important distinction, because we often think of soul, as just referring to God or the divine. But if you go back a little bit to where that word originated, it is actually the mediator between heaven and earth, or the divine and the human. It's how you are representing yourself in spirit. And when we talk about that, we mean consciousness. The consciousness that we hold manifests in our body, and that's how we show up in the world. So the consciousness of the individual is much more than your thoughts and your feelings and your beliefs. We often say in unity that we're manifesting with our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, but it's more than that. When we get into the realm of the soul, or the realm of divine consciousness, it's the total accumulation of our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs. And it includes so much more. It includes awareness of the divine. It includes experience of universal mind. These happen in the realm of the soul. We can talk about them all day long, and they can be concepts in our mind, but we have to practice. And that's where this is a person who's been practicing every day, I can tell. Because I feel your energy. And I feel the energy of the soul sitting there. I love that. Because you can see when a person is open and expressing from their soul, or when they're closed and they're expressing from just their concepts. Now, concepts are always dualistic in nature. But the soul is going to be authentic. It can never lie. It's going to express exactly how you experience yourself deep within. So the realm of consciousness that I'm talking about, that is the soul, is aware. It also includes awareness of the divine, experience of universal mind, access to the cosmic intelligence. This is what Kathy and Jack demonstrated this morning. That's access to the cosmic intelligence that tells Kathy in a different town exactly what song is being played, and to include that in your meditation. Well, not only that, write the lyrics down in your meditation. Just to prove to everyone that there is access to cosmic intelligence. And it can be very specific. Right down to the very word you're writing on your paper. Isn't that amazing? We might call that supernatural, but I call it natural. That's my natural experience when I'm involved with the consciousness of the soul. I have access and awareness of the divine, experience of universal mind, access to cosmic intelligence, and perhaps the most important thing of all, I have memory of every loving thought or experience that I've ever had. Amen. And if I want to go even deeper, I hold the memory within my consciousness, if I want to access it, of every loving thought or experience that has ever been expressed within the realm of space-time. But that's for another message entirely. That could take a couple more hours. Bruce would hang around for that one, though. But that's part of the cosmic intelligence, is that you're connected to every expression of love, because love is what you are. But back to practical concerns. How can I recognize that my soul is generated by love? How do we open our awareness to all that love that's all around us all the time? How can I do that? First of all, I have to have a desire. I have to have a desire to serve. I have to have a desire to give, to love, to share. It has to be my desire. Because that's when my soul is feeling free. It's not an obligation. A lot of people think that love is an obligation, that giving is an obligation, that sharing is an obligation. But as Gail would remind me, it's an opportunity. Amen. Not an obligation, but an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to receive. Giving is an opportunity to receive. Isn't that amazing? Sharing is an opportunity to realize I'm one with you and with everyone. And so those desires are part of the soul. And fulfilling those desires fulfill your soul's purpose here. So the second thing we need to know is that our desire is divine. It's coming from a divine source. It's coming from our soul. It's coming from what you might call God. Spirit. We know that it's coming from Spirit and directed by Spirit. And when we are directed by Spirit, we can have confidence. We can have confidence in whatever way we are directed to serve. It will be in service to God or the greater good. We can have confidence because we're directed by Spirit directly from our soul. Some people talk about soul contracts. When we all really have the same contract, and that's to serve others, to serve the appearance of others until we realize we're all one. Then it becomes so easy because you're always giving to yourself. When Spirit is truly directing our heart and we have a soul generated by love, we will do great things every single day. Now, the word great, I know it's loaded with misconceptions, misperceptions. It's not a great in comparison with less or more. It's not a great that has the connotation of success in worldly terms or material gain. It's not a great in terms of how much I can accumulate. But it is a great in terms of how much love I can express. Amen. It's a great in relation to the positive impact that you have on others. Are you fulfilling a purpose which transcends your personal desires and those limited goals of your ego? That's the question. Are you fulfilling a purpose which transcends your personal desires? This is a spiritual center, right? I mean, you have to talk about spiritual things. It sounds very Eastern to me. Transcending my personal desires. Whoa, that's a very Eastern. Yeah, I don't care. I care about doing it. If it works, I want to do it. I'm very practical. If transcending my personal desires is going to bring me greater spiritual happiness, then that's what I'm going to do. That's right. Amen. I love Kevin. Thank you. I love you so much. Because you're right there. You're willing to do it. And so this was expressed in a particular way by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Remember, he was a reverend first and foremost. And he was serving God in all that he did. And he said this: "Use me, God. Show me how to take who I am, who I want to be, what I can do, and use it for a purpose greater than myself." We're trying to pump up our selves, our egos, our little personal individual beings in comparison to other perceived separate individual beings. But he's not saying that at all. All he's saying is, how can I have a purpose that's greater than myself? I need a purpose that transcends my personal self, to join in the selfhood of spirit. A purpose greater than myself, or a transcendent experience past the individual self. Let's see if I explain that a little greater. A purpose greater than myself, a transcendence, I wanted to say there, transcendence of individual self would now have to include all of creation. Wow! Amazing. Now I'm connected to everything. Whereas before I was just separate and trying to protect that separate self. And I build all of these structures and institutions and blah, 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 blah to protect that individual self. I want a purpose that's greater than myself. So this shift in the direction of my soul, this expansion of my consciousness is exactly what is needed to serve humanity today. Expansion of your consciousness. That's what's needed. Forget all that other stuff. It's not going to work. It never will. It's all part of the system of separation. And I give you 100% permission now to abandon that. Let it go. You ever realize that what you fear most always happens? What the heck? What kind of world is this? Oh, I'm afraid this will happen. I'm afraid that'll happen. Oh, man, it happened. I just don't like that. It seems to always appear that way. Why? It's the power of your mind. You're projecting it into reality. So now I want a purpose greater than myself. Guess what's going to be projected into reality? Guess what's going to be manifest in my life? Guess what's going to be shared with all my friends and neighbors? Yeah, and it comes from a soul generated by love. And it will be a purpose greater than myself because that is what I'm focused on. And I intend to focus on that. Something clicked in me today that's what's happening. All this other stuff, you can fight it all day long. But this is why Jesus said, resist not evil. Because when you begin to resist evil, you become evil yourself. Not that evil has any power in reality, but it is a soul that is you're blocking the awareness of love. Resist not. Create a different flow. You'll take all the energy out of that which you fear. You'll take all the energy out of that which is divisive and separating and all of that which is harmful. You'll take all the energy away from it and you put it into the flow of love. Take all of your energy and put it in the flow of love. This is my prescription for 2025. I know a lot of people have other prescriptions and they're very fearful and you have a right to be, let's say, mystified by some of the choices that are going on in the world today. But you can make a different choice. You can make love your decision. Amen. You can and you must. At this point, we have no choice. Absolutely. Make love your decision. So within the realm of the soul, the whole of creation finds its expression in us and as us. Does anyone here believe that? The whole of creation, what you call God, finds its expression in you, as you. Amen. And is this not a purpose greater than myself, in my individual ego, limited ego needs, my individual ego desires? Isn't this a greater purpose? I believe it is. And this is spirit become flesh. This is God showing up as us. This is the most lofty service that we can render to one another, to accept our divine nature. And then give others space to do the same. Accept your divine nature. That cannot be assailed or harmed in any way. Now you have the strength. You have the foundation of spiritual knowledge and practice and experience to go forth and offer it to others in the face of anything.
Amen.
And I want you to be strong in your spirit because you do have work to do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Thank you, Kevin. Yes, we do. So this shift in direction of my soul, the expansion of my consciousness, it's exactly what's needed to serve. And I believe it's the most lofty service we can render. So in these times of shift and change, uncertainty, I'm completely certain. I'm completely certain of one thing, that we are being called to wade in the waters of oneness, to wade in the waters of spirit, to wade in the waters of spiritual awakening, transformation, to wade in those waters of a group of souls generated by love. So you know what song we're going to sing next. So come on, my friends. The water is fine. Jump in.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. And visit us online at unityOnCapeCod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.